Submission early this morning. Kudos to you. I think that you unbottled the whole situation in Rivers State and actually saying that President Bola Ahmed Tinubu acted unconstitutional. Well, the NBA has released a statement as well. And the statement reads in part, a declaration of emergency does not automatically dissolve or suspend elected state governments. The Constitution does not empower the president to unilaterally remove or replace elected officials. Such actions amount to an unconstitutional usurpation of power and a fundamental breach of Nigeria's federal structure. The NBA firmly asserts that the situation in Rivers State, though politically tense, does not meet the constitutional threshold for the removal of elected officials. For a state of emergency to be declared, Section 305 of the Constitution outlines specific conditions, and I'll read them. It includes 1. War or external aggression against Nigeria. 2. Imminent danger of invasion of war. 3. A breakdown of public order and safety to such an extent that ordinary legal measures are insufficient. 4. A clear danger to Nigeria's existence. 5. Occurrence of any disaster or natural calamity affecting a state or a part of it. 6. Such other public danger that constitutes a threat to the Federation. Well, the NBA questions whether the political crisis in Rivers State has reached the level of a complete breakdown of law and order, warranting the removal of the governor and his administration. Well, reactions have trailed, and I'll take Atiku Abubakar's tweet. In a lengthy tweet, Atiku wrote on X, the declaration of a state of emergency in Rivers State reeks of political manipulation and outright bad faith. Anyone paying attention to the unfolding crisis knows that Bola Tinubu has been a vested partisan actor in the political turmoil engulfing Rivers. His blatant refusal or calculated negligence in preventing this escalation is nothing short of disgraceful. Beyond the political scheming in Rivers, the brazen security breaches that led to the condemnable destruction of national infrastructure in the state land squarely on the president's desk. Tinubu cannot evade responsibility for the chaos his administration has either enabled or failed to prevent. It is an unforgivable failure that under Tinubu's watch, the Niger Delta has been thrown back into an era of violent unrest and instability, undoing the hard-won peace secured by the late President Umaru Yar'Adua. Years of progress have been recklessly erased in pursuit of selfish political calculations. If federal infrastructure in Rivers has been compromised, the president bears full responsibility, punishing the people of Rivers State just to serve the political gamesmanship between the governor and Tinubu's enablers in the federal government is nothing less than an assault on democracy and must be condemned in the strongest terms. An assault on democracy, Ayo. That is how Atiku Abubakar has termed this unconstitutional declaration of a state of emergency in Rivers State. Well, before I come to you guys, another reaction that trailed Tinubu's declaration of a state of emergency in Rivers State is a 2013 video of former President Goodluck Jonathan when he declared a state of emergency in 3 northeastern states, Adamawa, Borno, and Yobe, over worsening insecurity. Well, according to former Attorney General of the Federation, Mohammed Bello Adoke, Jonathan did not suspend the governors of the states because it was unconstitutional. He dedicated a whole chapter to this issue in his memoir, Burden of Service. Well, here's that video.
Following recent developments in the affected states, it has become necessary for government to take extraordinary measures to restore normalcy. After wide consultations and in exercise of the power conferred on me by the provisions of Section 305, subsection 1 of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria 1999 as amended, I hereby declare a state of emergency in Borno, Yobe, and Adamawa states. Accordingly, the Chief of Defense Staff has been directed to immediately deploy more troops to these states for more effective internal security operations.
All right, Dr. Vati, you were trending with that video because you delivered a brilliant submission on the reason why the president did not suspend the 3 governors at the time, because obviously it is unconstitutional. And like I said, the former Attorney General of the Federation, in his book, I urge the viewers to grab a copy of the book, Burden of Service, The Reminiscences of Nigeria's Former Attorney General, published in 2019 by Kling Street, London and New York. Well, a reaction followed that announcement, a declaration of emergency back in 2013. And this excerpt from the Daily Trust, according to President Bola Ahmed Tinubu at the time, if we can pull up that excerpt from Daily Trust, Tinubu, who was a former Lagos state governor, had said in that excerpt that the imposition of emergency rule in 3 states is a dangerous trend to the art of governance and a deliberate ploy to subvert constitutional democracy. He said in a statement from his media office yesterday that by declaring a state of emergency in Borno, Yobe, and Adamawa states, President Jonathan intimidated and emasculated the governors of these states. Imagine that at that time.
Like
yes, absolutely. And he also said that Jonathan's intention was to muzzle the elected governments of the states for what is clearly a display of unpardonable mediocrity. And guess what? Diabolic partisanship geared towards 2015. Just like what is actually happening. And that's the conversation, Rufai, that this whole, suspension, removal of office, if you may call it, is geared towards, the 2027. It's politically motivated. Dr. Vati, you have said it's unconstitutional. Former Attorney General of the Federation has said it's unconstitutional. I mean, it's a huge conversation, and I feel like we're going to be here speaking. We're hoping that the President, the National Assembly, and the Attorney General of the Federation is listening to Nigerians, because this really is trampling on our democracy. Let me just take this incident, because this is what the conversation is all about whether or not Governor Fubara acted properly before the suspension or removal, or whether or not it is Wike's fault. But you know that we saw a video of Governor Fubara threatening violence against members of the Rivers State House of Assembly if they proceeded with the impeachment, has surfaced online. Let's take a look at that video. I think that the governor made these remarks weeks ago during the inauguration of the state quarters in Port Harcourt.
In as much as I don't subscribe to